Hey guys, it's Ryan Lai from Unbound Vision. I am in our sound room right now, and if you're wondering what my setup looks like, I have like a little table next to me with some water and some rosehip tea from Ono Beirend, German tea company, and it's a rosehip tea, so you might hear me slurping for a second. That's really good, very tart, very blood red, but yeah, right now I'm in our sound room. And the reason why I'm releasing this video for you guys, the Answering Assumptions with Ryan Lai podcast, this is what the video is. Sorry, I should have said that at the start. This is the Answering Assumptions about Ryan Lai podcast. And the reason why I'm making this podcast for you guys is because we're not able to release the Q&A with Aki and Shido, the second part of questions you guys had. We're not able to release it this month. And possibly we will not be able to release it next month because the staff is not in studio due to the government lockdown and the studio lockdown. So I'm the one running the operations at the moment, although Jamie Jovel is assisting me with the Webtoons presence. Anyways, let's go ahead and get to the assumptions. So, okay, first assumption from Demetri Martinez. Oh yeah, he's one of our, he's one of our patrons. Demetri Martinez, thanks again for your support, dude. Okay, so your assumption, Demetri, is I assume Ryan Lai laughs at the harem formula. You know, the first time you actually put this assumption, I actually kind of laughed. And not because it's like, oh, it's ridiculous, but because, like, you would think that, right? You would think that I have, like, you know, very little respect or tolerance for the harem genre, but it's actually the opposite. And the reason is because I actually grew up with the whole harem genre formula when I was young. Like Ranma 1/2, like that was pure harem formula. I mean, it had a twist, you know, obviously the main character could turn into a girl, but like, yeah, that was also harem formula. There were so many harems leading up to where we are now, and the harem genre is still going strong. I have a lot of affection for the harem genre, and just any genre for that matter. I don't dislike any particular genre. I'm a very tolerant person overall. This is why I don't give lewd artists a hard time, because they're just expressing themselves. And I get it, you know, it's easy to do lewd art, you know, it's easy to sell. It's easy to, because, you know, sex sells. I get it. I totally get it. But it's just not the route that I go down. So if you're wondering if I would ever execute something like a harem formula in the future for any of the work that I've done, the answer is no. I just am not interested in doing that because it just doesn't interest me. Even though I love watching it on occasion, the harem genre, because there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of really good ones. It's not just for the male audience, although, you know, obviously the majority is, you know, the male audience. But there's also female audience members that really enjoy the harem formula too, from all spectrums. So it's really, really interesting. Like, I believe Oran High School Host Club is probably, like, the most popular one right now for the ladies. And even some guys like that one. So like, I remember enjoying it. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, and overall, I don't laugh. I do not laugh at the harem genre. Or the harem formula, I should say. I do think it can be a little stereotypical. And I think some companies and some studios typically go a little too far with the... I don't know. They just... I think some of them just are kind of the same thing. I think that's the only issue I have with the harem formula. A lot of them can be the same thing. But nowadays, they've gotten so creative with it that, like, it's become more interesting. So the only problem I've ever had with the harem genre was that it got stale after a while. And then now it's recently picked up because now we have, like, stuff like Konosuba, right? Which is hard to say if it's a harem formula because all the characters in that show are like kind of idiots. So it's super entertaining for that reason. Yeah, and like you don't even know if the girls really like Kazuma or not, right? Because they're all kind of like self-interested. They're all kind of weird. Yeah, it's really that does a really interesting play on it. And of course, there's a lot of harem genres that kind of mix up the formula, you know. Like, I mean, ReZero, you can kind of think of ReZero as one. I mean, there's only a couple of girls I think they're interested in the main guy, Subaru, but like, again, that's super interesting because the plot's really interesting, and also the character's really interesting. So again, there's so much nuance for the harem formula that I think it's just going to go very strong. Okay, let's move on to the next assumption. Sorry if that first one took a while. That was a really fun one to talk about. So D3B00MBXP underscore M3RC asks, I assume Ryan Lai purposely made Aki incredibly smexy, right? The answer is yes. If you mean sexy, the answer is absolutely yes. That was very intentional from the very start, including the anime web series for TAKESHI. I in particular made Aki very sexy because I just, for one thing, it just didn't cross my mind that she'd be anything but sexy. So I was like, let's just make her. If we're gonna go for it, let's just go for it and make her sexy. It's a lot funner, you know. Of course, it's eye candy for the audience, but you know, I just figured like, look, if we're gonna make her attractive, let's just make her really attractive. But at the same time, let's make her extremely dangerous, so people aren't comfortable being too close to her because she could technically eat you alive or break your limbs at the very least, just from a couple of touches. So again, it's very much like, it's like interacting with a it's like a giant man-eating crocodile, right? You respect it from a distance. It looks really cool from a distance, but when you get up close, that thing is scary. So yeah, very very much true. Very very much true. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I can feel a sneeze coming on. Okay. But yeah, if you're wondering if I made Aki purposely sexy, yes, I did. It was very intentional from day one. And excuse me. It was very intentional from day one. And there was no real thought behind it other than I just said, you know what, if we're going to make her sexy, let's just make her sexy. It'll be cool. It'll be really nice. And, you know, that's it. Okay, moving on to the next assumption. Mary Erica, I assume you enjoy coffee more than tea. Yeah, had to put on that ending part. Yes, I'm actually drinking, coffee more than tea. Yes, that's absolutely true. I love coffee. Probably is my favorite drink, obviously. But I am enjoying some tea right now, so I love them both. I mean, right now I'm enjoying some rosehip tea while I'm doing this podcast for you guys. I enjoy tea during the late afternoons, and I enjoy coffee in the early mornings. So I actually drink both, but I do have a preference for coffee, especially Starbucks Pike Place and Folgers Black Silk. I really love both those brands, and they're really good. And if you're wondering what to get Ryan for a Christmas present, just send him some nice coffee. That's, you know, send me some nice coffee. You know, I'll genuinely appreciate it, and it's not expensive. Okay, moving on to the next assumption. Oh, this one was also from Demetri Martinez. Okay. This has this. Okay. I also assume that Ryan Lai really likes chicken katsu and spicy miso ramen with pork. Ah, right. Right. I remember you saying, Demetri, that you really like that. Yeah, I do really like those things. I really do like those things a lot. But if you're wondering, like, what I typically like to get when I go to a ramen place, I actually go for the vegetarian option. And that seems like totally blasphemous. Like, Ryan, oh my gosh. Like, but you should actually try it at a very good place, like Ben 10 Ramen in Monterey Park, I believe. Ben 10 Ramen, or maybe it's Alhambra, I don't know. Ben 10 Ramen is definitely one of the best I've had for a while. Orotron Ramen's also really good. That's in Little Tokyo, Los Angeles. But the Ben 10 Ramen makes absolutely incredible veggie ramen. They make really great ramen in general. They make really good takoyaki. You can get it fresh from them. But like, their ramen's all good. Everything. The sukemen, they make sukemen, which is the dipping style ramen. They make the spicy pork miso. They make the spicy pork tonkotsu. They make pork tonkotsu. And they also make the veggie ramen, which is actually made from soy-based. It's a soy-based soup, so it tastes incredibly good. And they find a way to make it spicy, and it's incredible. It's the best veggie ramen I've ever had. If you've never had veggie ramen, give it a try at Ben 10 Ramen. They make incredible veggie ramen, and it's by far my favorite ramen. Okay, moving on to the next assumption. Okay. This one is also by D3B00MB XP _M3RC. Okay. assuming Ryan Lai does the illustrations for the comic, Ryan will claim to be the first one to lewd Aki before anyone else does. Yes, this is actually true. Technically, this is true. I didn't mean to do it, but technically it's true, because I remember for the beach episode, for the TAKESHI webcomics, I put them in swimsuit wear, because duh, it's a swimsuit episode, right? But I had to find a way to make it funny, because it's, TAKESHI the webcomics. So we gave Aki this really insane, kind of shrilly, like crazy voice that you wouldn't expect from someone like who's kind of sexy, but it fits her character perfectly. And Jamie does such an incredible job with her voice acting. I was in fact technically the first to lewd Aki TAKESHI. Not by accident. I did it intentionally because it was for the beach episode, and Aki naturally thinks she's the sexiest thing on the planet, so she's gonna, probably horn dog Shido all day, and maybe attract a couple of onlookers like, the super buff macho guys who says, what does he say? Oh, God. Oh, yeah, he says something along the lines of, hey, baby, you're making me super horny. I remember because I had to actually do that voice for him. But yeah, question answered. Okay, moving on to the next assumption. This one is from, this one's from Rubber Chicken. I assume you've worked at an animation studio at one point. That's absolutely true. I've toured quite a few animation studios, including DreamWorks, Disney, Nickelodeon, Marvel. I've had a tour of pretty much quite a few different studios. And I've known quite a few people in the industry too. But yes, I've worked at some fairly big and some small. Like the first one I worked with was I believe Film Ramen, which was a medium to large size company, maybe about 500 employees. They were working on Simpsons. They also did King of the Hill, and at the time they were doing Marvel's Ultimate Spider-Man. And I was a production assistant intern for their show. And then years later, they brought me back on as a full-time production assistant. And I assisted them with production, and I also assisted them with archiving for all the series that they've ever done all the way up to this point. Because at that point, Film Ramen was going through a transition phase. They were sold off from Starz, their parent company. They were owned by parent company Starz, and they were sold off to some company called Waterman Entertainment. And because of that, everyone got laid off, including me. So 99% of the staff got laid off, and only like a couple of people got to stay on. And I don't know what they're doing with Film Ramen anymore, but it's definitely not the same company it used to be. It was fun, though. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of really great people. There were a lot of things I saw in that company that should have been run better. There was so many crazy expenditures, and unfortunately, there was no one fully in charge. There was no CEO calling the shots, so it was kind of chaos at times. But it was overall an amazing experience, and I'm super happy to have worked with them because they were all just genuinely nice, incredible people. And then after that, I went to Hoax Films. I worked as a visual development intern. I did character designs. I did poster art. I did a lot of different designs for them. And they were kind of this like smaller to medium-sized studio, and they did a lot of VFX stuff. You can probably find them around. They're still called Hoax Films, I believe. And then after that, I did an internship at Pipsqueak Films, which was my favorite one by far. Working for Mike Blum at Pipsqueak Films was my favorite one, and that was the smallest one. That was like a garage studio, but we were working on really fun stuff. I remember because the creative freedom in that small studio was really creatively free, and we were allowed to kind of just like push our artistic merits, I guess I'll say, our artistic skill. Like Mike Blum really allowed us to really push ourselves. And after my internship, he brought me on as a full-time freelance storyboard artist. And I storyboarded the entire first season of Fifi Cat Therapist for DreamWorks TV on their YouTube channel. So if you guys are wondering who did all the storyboards for Fifi Cat Therapist the first season, that was me. That was Ryan Lai. I'm not necessarily the proudest of that work. I'm more proud of the work I do here at Unbound Vision because I'm having the time of my life here, and I got an awesome team. and we're creating stuff that's really freaking awesome and groundbreaking. But like, it was still a great experience. And hey, money. So there you go. I hope that answers your question. Okay, the Frostbite Boy 935 asks or assumes, I assume you like Star Wars or Star Trek? I do. I like them both. I really love Star Wars. Star Wars is definitely my favorite, for sure. I every so often I just watch like videos going over characters for Star Wars characters like Captain Rex or so on and so forth. Commander Doom, if you guys even know who Commander Doom is, he's a little obscure, but if you know who Commander Doom is, then I know that I'm in good company of people who are a fan of the Clone Wars. But like, yeah, I love Star Wars. I really love Star Wars a lot. I grew up with Star Wars ever since I was a kid. It was probably the first movie my dad actually took me to, and it was mind-blowing. It was awesome. It was so cool. And that changed a lot of things. That really made me interested in film and cinema in general. I'm not sure if that was a Kickstarter, but that was definitely a contributing factor that got me into the entertainment industry. Okay, moving on to the next assumption. Next assumption. Okay, these ones are all from the Frostbite Boy 935. I assume you play video games, and that's how you get some ideas for some of your comics. This is actually true. I do play video games every so often. Nowadays, I don't get any time to play video games because I'm always ridiculously busy. You guys probably don't realize I take care of many different things in studio. But when I do have a day off, which is rare, I might get 1 or 2 days off during the month, I'll play some video games. Or I'll just relax and watch some videos of people playing video games. And that does give me a lot of inspiration for certain comics, for the TAKESHI webcomics. But in terms of the TAKESHI anime, it's been slightly inspired by some games. I would say maybe Devil May Cry, Mega Man Zero, other stuff, and plenty of other stuff. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but you're right. Absolutely true. I have played video games, not as much recently, but it definitely has inspired some of the comic ideas for sure. Okay, moving on to the next assumption. This one again from the Frostbite Boy 935. He had a lot of good assumptions. Okay. I assume you made Shido short so he can have the innocent look. I'm not sure if I made him short to give him the innocent look. I did that because, naturally speaking, I just knew Aki was going to be taller, and I knew Shido was going to be shorter, which made him more fragile, obviously. I'm not sure if it made him more innocent. I mean, I think naturally people assume if you're smaller, I guess you're more innocent. But, like, he is definitely an innocent character. Absolutely. I don't know if him being short has anything to do with that, but he is for sure an innocent character. But I'm not sure if I made him short just to make him look innocent. I think I made him short because I wanted to really emphasize how big Aki was. And by the way, in case you guys want to know, Shido's official height is 5'5", and Aki is 6'4". So Aki is over 6 feet 4 inches, and Shido is below her at basically shoulder height. He's about 5 feet 5 inches. So he's actually he has an average height. It's just that Aki is ridiculously big. So he looks very short by comparison. All right, moving on to the last assumption. Okay, this is an interesting one. Let me get a sip of some tea. Hang on a second. Oh, that's good tea. Okay. Last assumption from the Frostbite Boy 935. Ryan, I assume that you pranked one of your coworkers. That came as a surprise when that came up, I think, today. The answer is no. I've never pranked anyone ever in my life. I've never pranked anyone. I might have jabbed someone with a joke every now and then, but I have never pranked a single person in my life. I have been pranked on, though, by many different people, including people who haven't known me and previous associates, I'll call them, who did not have very good intent. It was not nice. It was more along the lines of bullying, not really. Well, it was both pranking and bullying at the same time. So, given my experience leading up to this point when it comes to pranks against me, which was really unacceptable on many different fronts. I mean, sometimes it could be kind of funny, but most of the time it was just really, really messed up and really mean-spirited. And I don't really want to go into that. I mean, we're going to go into some really dark stuff in terms of my story. Back in the current story arc for the TAKESHI webcomics, the Mouth of Hell is going to the Mouth of Hell is really going to pry me open in terms of my prior experiences leading all the way up to this point. So you guys will get a very good idea of who I was coming up to this point, or better, more accurately, I should say, what I had to deal with leading up to this point. And I was definitely, unfortunately, the butt of many jokes. I was pranked on by a lot of different people, including old associates and so-called friends who were doing it not for good reasons, mostly just because they wanted to be mean. And it was really messed up. It was really not cool, especially looking back on it. It was not nice. I mean, at the time, you just kind of deal with it, because, they're just being idiots. But, like, it was not cool. Like, and I won't go into any specifics, but it was, if I told you, you would be upset. But yeah, no, I've never pranked anyone. No one in studio has ever pranked each other. And it's because literally everyone who works here is so nice. I'm so lucky to have everyone who works here. They're everyone who works here. Jamie Jovel, Alexa Gardner, Nicole McCarthy, Camille McCarthy, Brandon Alvarez, and a lot of the people who came before. All the people who work here are so incredibly nice, and I'm just incredibly lucky to have them. And I don't prank anybody. I don't ever put anyone down. I might make a joke every now and then, a funny joke, like maybe I'll pretend to be a Valley girl or something for a day, like yeah, your boyfriend, did you hear about my boyfriend? I mean, I'll do weird funny stuff like that, but that's like the worst of it. That's probably the worst of it. I mean, maybe I don't know. I'll make like weird jokes in studio every now and then, just to make things funner. And it makes people laugh, but it never comes at the expense of people typically. And I never would think of pranking anybody because it's just not in my nature to do so. And thankfully, no one in studio feels like they have the need to do that anyways. And we're also super busy, so no one has time for pranks. And it's just too mean-spirited for us. So if you're wondering what the culture at Unbound Vision is like, everyone is so nice. Everyone's really nice. Like, really, really, really nice. They're the best people you can possibly work with. They're the nicest people you could ever work with. And I'm really super lucky to have them. They're really, really incredible. Especially considering the stuff I lived through to get up to this point, which I won't talk about in this assumption video because it's a little too messed up to talk about. But yeah, there you go, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed me answering your assumptions. I hope it was enlightening to some extent. And this is just for you guys, This is just me providing you guys more value. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, look forward to more from us. And thanks for sticking around with us. It's really cool. And I hope you guys enjoy more of our work because we got a lot of super cool stuff on the way. It's going to be really, really exciting, especially for the TAKESHI anime and for what's coming during the Mouth of Hell for the TAKESHI webcomics and what's coming after it, which is a complete surprise. But look forward to more progress on episode 1 of TAKESHI. Look forward to more TAKESHI webcomics and more webcomic animatics. And look forward to more content on our end. And next month or on May, we will see if we can do the second half of Q&A answers for Aki and Shiro. So don't worry, guys. We didn't forget. We'll get back to it. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Thanks again for supporting us. And of course, if you guys love what we do, consider supporting us on Patreon and Ko-fi. Every dollar makes a big difference in our efforts. And the team would love you for it. Seriously, they really do love you guys for it. And thank you so much again. Coming from the CEO of Unbound Vision, Ryan Lai himself, thank you again so much for supporting us on Patreon and Ko-fi, to all of our clients, to all the clients who have come before these clients, and to everyone who just enjoys our work. Thanks again for being with us, guys. It's really, really cool. It's really nice. And thanks for being so nice to us. Hope you guys have a great day. Stay inspired. Bye.